Hi, how's everybody doing today? This is Rich here on behalf of Rich TV Live with a very special guest. It is Kiran Sidhu. How you doing today, Kiran?
I'm doing really well. Greetings from the Road River Valley in Medford, Oregon. I just broke for lunch at 3 p.m. And you know what's amazing about the Road River Valley, Rich, this time of year?
Tell me.
All you smell is cannabis. It's
Wow.
right before harvest. You're in the heart of the Emerald Triangle. And, we have our 6 acres here. And, now it gets really touchy because down here, you got to wait. Now the weather starts getting a little iffy. It starts raining, then it gets hot, then it starts raining. And so you got to really time that harvest. And so I came down to look at the plants and speak to the people in Oregon and see how we're doing.
That's great. So you can literally smell cannabis in the air?
Oh, it's at 5 a.m. in the morning. I went to one of our partners' farms that was up on a hill in Talent, Oregon. When I went up there and I looked around me, all I saw was hemp and marijuana as far as the eye could see.
Oh, wow.
It's just unbelievable how much CBD is being grown. And, the pads for our, at his farm, we're putting in Talent, laying the foundation for our CBD facility and everything. But at 5 in the morning, it's unbelievable. I mean, it seeps into every room,
Wow.
everyone in this valley. And Medford is the 3rd most populous city in all of Oregon.
Wow.
Behind Portland and the Corvallis, Eugene area.
That's incredible. I can't believe it. I mean,
Yeah.
like here in Vancouver, we're considered like one of the, most popular places in the world for cannabis. And you don't smell it like that.
Well, you sort of do. So when you're crossing the border from Surrey and you're coming through the Delta,
Yeah.
and you have Emerald's big facilities and Canopy's facilities all there for about, I'd say, I'll talk in kilometers, maybe like 3 kilometers or 4 kilometers, you sure smell it.
Really?
And then-
Okay, you know what? I'm not. I haven't driven by that area very much. I'm gonna
Right.
try that out. I wasn't
should.
aware of that.
You should. So when you take the 95 north from the border, you'll smell it there as well.
Wow.
But not like this. Not like this.
Wow. Well, let's get into some of the news. I'm really excited to hear that you guys keep moving along and achieving your goals. And a lot of members have been telling me they're starting to get involved in Halo Labs and they think it's a great company. They're starting to buy the stock, starting to position themselves. I've been trying to explain. I'm like, there's this company, IIPR, traded at like $97. Halo Labs made more money last quarter than IIPR. Now, IIPR only has 11 million shares. So, that's why they're at $97. But at the end of the day, you guys are making some good revenue and you guys keep moving forward in achieving your goals. Now, I heard the news, $10 million financing, and you guys are getting close to closing your deal in Africa. So please, I want to hear it directly from the CEO. Let's hear it. What's going on?
So, let's talk about the $10 million financing.
Yes.
The first thing I want to emphasize is it's a facility. So it's money that we can call as we need it, and we've only called $1 million of it, right? So, and that money is all being directed towards developing a big California dispensary business, right?
Okay.
And we're going to be making some moves in the next week or so to actually build upon that business as well.
Very good.
And so that is our real focus in the short to medium term is California dispensaries. So the way we look at it is if we can finish the year with, say, 1 million in Oregon or a little bit more in revs, 2 million in bulk sales in California, which we're pretty much doing, with a few little hiccups here as we put in new equipment. And then if we can do, modestly achieve another million in California and a couple 100,000 in Nevada for pad, then we're at that $48 million run rate,
$48 million run rate. You're talking about $48 million annually or per quarter?
Annually. Right?
So then you're at like about 12 million a quarter?
Yeah, then you're at about 12 million a quarter. So the key to us in the short to medium term is really building out that California dispensary business. And the one thing that we have that none of our competitors have in California are the dab tabs, right? So that gives us access for all our other products. And the other thing we're emphasizing is we're much heavier on the concentrate side, even in vape pen format, than the distillate side. So those give us a couple of competitive advantages over others.
You know, it's funny you mentioned the dab tabs because I've had some members telling me they really love your dab tabs.
Oh, it's the best thing. You know, one of the things, you know, among all of us is part of the reason I'm down here also is to grade our live resin that's just coming off our lines. I think we have, guys, how many grams of live resin do we have coming off the lines?
We have 8,000 off the can.
So that's 80 liters. We have 80 liters coming off the line, and we're grading it out, and it's all B plus, A minus, and we're going to put a lot of that. 80 liters in Oregon's a lot, by the way, and a lot of really good product that we're going to be putting, you know, on the Oregon shelves for your listeners who are in Oregon. What brand are we putting it under, guys? It's going to be our flagship brand, Hush, which is one of the top 3 brands in the state.
Hush.
Yes.
Now, okay, what if someone says, what is a dab tab? Can you explain it?
Sure. So effectively, a concentrate is like raw sugar, and distillate is like white sugar.
Okay.
Or another way of saying it is that it's sort of the mash before the whiskey, but it's broad spectrum. So it's very natural. It typically has a lower THC content, but it has the full spectrum of the cannabinoids in the plant. And so more experienced users prefer dab tabs, or prefer live resin, or prefer cured live resin, which is shatter. But the problem with dealing with it is it makes you look sort of like a crack addict, because you got to heat a pipe, you got to drop it in, wait for it to evaporate, and they call it a rig, which is a small bong. And so what the dab tab does is it alleviates 2 problems. First of all, it gives you precise dosing of concentrates. And then the second thing it does is it allows you to hold it in your pocket because they're 20 per gram, and it gives you dosability. And then you can put it in any rig, but you can also put it in any wax pen. And lastly, at the request of a lot of users, we've come up with 2 custom devices, a shatterizer device and a device called the Go, where you can drop it in like a vape pen device and use it. So you get the full live resin experience in a to-go format. You know, a lot of people call it a professional device, but I call it for people who are sick of, you know, lavender or honey flavored vape pens with 90% THC that wonk them out.
Wow, that's a lot of people are very interested in the dab tabs. A lot of questions coming in from the community already. Let's get into the other bit of news before we start answering some questions from the community. You mentioned the money. Now, you did say that you only drew $1 million out of the 10 million. So
correct.
The way the credit facility works, you draw $1 million, and then does that create dilution in the stock?
Well, it potentially could, because for the first 5 million we draw, we've issued 5 million warrants against it. So those warrants can be dilutive, but if you look at it in perspective, with 200 million shares out on 5 million, the dilution is de minimis for the working capital line. And the working capital line is not a senior secured line where we've pledged our stock and done all that other stuff that like MedMen has done and a couple of other guys are doing right now. So it's much more of a friendly line than the other lines. But I'm working really hard to get some equity under us too, you know.
Great.
And I'm trying to do it, you know, at a price, you know, at least at market, not at a discount like everyone else has been doing it at, you know?
So when you say you want to get equity underneath you, are you talking about getting some partners, equity partners? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, I mean, get some equity partners. People are, you know, it's interesting. It's a really tight funding market. If any cannabis company tells you they're having a wonderful time right now, they're not, right? So there are so many people coming to us with so many offers, right? And you know, there's so many offers for the company itself, to buy other companies, to do things, to raise money. It's a question of just sifting through everything right now and doing what's best for the shareholders. As your shareholders may or may not be aware, the three founders of the company, myself, the COO, and the CFO, take all our pay in stock. And that's been for, at least for the CFO and I, for quite a long period of time. So we're shareholders before we're operators of a business. We own portions of this business, and we want to be fully aligned with our shareholders.
Now, you're doing some big business in Africa. Can we talk about that?
Yeah, for sure. So, in Africa, so I'll put it in perspective. Here, Louisa, who's our chairman-to-be, was here in Oregon with me. She came to California with me. She was in Nevada with me. And we came out to our grow here, which is 6 acres. And as far as I know, on a single site in Oregon, this is very important, not a single license or a single company, but a single site, that 6 acres is the largest grow that I know of.
Oh, wow.
And it's quite large. It takes a person to walk the grow, probably every row, it would take them half a day. And that's 6 acres.
Oh, wow.
Now let's put that in perspective, and I'll send you a picture for your listeners afterwards so they can see that grow.
Please.
Let's put that in perspective on Africa. So in Lesotho, we're talking initially about 5 hectares, which is 11 acres, which is almost double the size of this grow, which will produce somewhere between 15 to 20,000 usable pounds of marijuana this season. So you're looking at somewhere between 30 to 40,000 pounds of usable marijuana just in phase 1. Wow. Now, phase 2, where we're the only license, and Hamish at White Sheep, who's doing a lot there, confirmed it. We're the only license that has a what I call conditional permit to go outdoors. But when we're talking about going outdoors, our permit's for 200 hectares, right? There is no way we could ever implement 200 hectares, in my mind, maybe in 10 years. But 100 hectares alone, arguably, is the largest grow that I know of, right? And the one thing that's good about South Africa and Lesotho is they have these diamond mines. They have all these precious metals. So the banks, the investors down there are used to these very, very large projects. But the difference between a diamond mine or a gold mine and a cannabis grow of 100 hectares is that 100-hectare grow keeps giving every year.
You're right. Well, if you pull the gold out of the ground, once you pull it all out of the ground, there's no more gold.
Yeah, but as opposed to getting irrationally sort of excited about it, because that's really the jewel in the medium to long term. I think the important piece there is to put it in perspective and say, look, let's get 1 hectare up right away. Let's then get our nursery growing for 5 hectares. And then let's go pragmatically get proper project financing in the African continent that's used to that to get maybe 50 hectares up, then 100 hectares up. Because when we model out 100 hectares at today's prices in the EU, you're looking at an $800 million crop,
Whoa.
US.
Wow.
There's no way realistically in the next year to 2 years, I don't care if it's Canopy or Aurora or any of us, could ever push that much product into the EU under GACP, right? So you got to be pragmatic with such a license. You can't.
Of course. Yeah, you got to take steps. You can't just take that huge leap overnight. It's a process. Right. Something I've been trying to explain to people. I always try to say, okay, so a lot of people complain because right now the cannabis sector's down. There's a lot of red. Stocks are going down. And I always say, as an investor, this is actually the best time to invest because you want to invest when things are down. Unfortunately, most investors, and the reason why 98% of investors don't really win long term is because they're looking for the home run and they want it to happen overnight. What they're not thinking of is it takes time for these companies to grow. Like it takes time for you to implement the growth. It takes time to hire staff. It takes time to train them. It takes time to grow and develop the business to actually get to full level of capacity. People assume because a lot of LPs are saying, hey, we can do X amount of capacity. it doesn't mean that they're going to do that today. It's going to take years. So you're going to have to see progressive growth quarter over quarter, year over year, to see companies like yourselves grow to full capacity. It's not going to happen overnight, like you said, and it won't even be licensed to do so. It's going to be a process.
No, yeah, no, we're the funny thing there is we're licensed, but we there's no way that the world can support such a large growth, in my estimation. And I've spent a lot of time in Europe, spent time in Malta, in Germany, in England, and all over, Spain as well. It's you have to be pragmatic, right? California is where it's at today. Oregon is a great market, but it's grown, it's matured a little bit. Nevada will be a great market once this lawsuit and the next 60 dispensaries free up. But California is where it's at today, and I really believe Africa is the breadbasket of the future, right? And Canopy is there with us. Supreme invested $10 million for a 10% stake in a Lesotho operator.
That's right? Huge. Now, speaking on that, there was a question from the audience from James. He says, when will Lesotho crop be ready for process?
Well, the first crop, we plan to be ready for processing by May, because the season is the opposite of this season. And that will be 2.2 acres will be the first crop. Again, walk before you run. They say crawl before you walk and walk before you run.
100%. Right? Now, can you, another question from Lorenzo from the audience is asking, would you be working with who would you be working with in Cali if you're able to speak about it? Do you have any?
Well, we've already announced we work with Caliva.
Yes,
we're
huge.
in 55 dispensaries. I cannot announce who we're working with, but we're working with some of the really, really big concentrate brands in Cali, right? We supply them with product, and some of them, which is really interesting, want to come to Oregon. So they're saying, bring our brands to Oregon, which could really help us in Oregon as well, right? So, yeah, but there'll be more announcements, I expect, within the next month of some of the brands we're working with.
That's great. And a question from from Beth. When do you plan to be profitable?
That is a question that has come up more and more as the downturn has come up, right?
Yes.
And so this quarter, we're shunning what we call revenue for the sake of revenue, and we're focusing on cash flow. So when you start looking at our financial statements quarter over quarter, you will see an improvement in positive cash flow, okay? Going to our statement of changes in financial position. That being said, I don't see us being profitable until Q1, at earliest Q1 or Q2 of next year. And that is really a big structural issue for us and for the industry at large.
Okay. We have some audience members here that are actually in Nigeria saying that Nigeria is a great place for business.
Nigeria is a great place for business. I don't know if Nigeria has opened up for cannabis. I know the DRC has opened up for cannabis. I know Zimbabwe goes in and out. And the reason we're in Lesotho is due to its political stability versus other African countries, right? And Lesotho is a stable constitutional monarchy in South Africa, which is a stable, parliamentary democracy. And that is one of the reasons we're there, besides the culture of Lesotho, cannabis being an ingrained part of their culture.
Now, you've been doing some conferences. Do you have anything to speak of on all these conferences you've been going to?
Sure. So I'm going to be presenting in Beverly Hills, but don't worry, shareholders, I'm only going in for the day and out and staying at my aunt's house. But I'm going to be presenting there on Tuesday at the Canaccord Gravitas Conference. And then the following week, I'll be at the Canaccord Conference at the Sheraton Center in Toronto. And in between that, I'll be at the Green Chips Conference in San Francisco next weekend at the Omni Hotel.
Wow, you are a busy guy, man. Holy moly.
I am. I try to fit some business in like we're doing right now, which is setting pricing for Oregon, planning the harvest. And I'm in my, everyone excuse me, but I'm in my harvest gear right now with my sneakers and my sweats and, you know, getting ready to, going into the factory and going out to the fields.
Hey, we'd like to see sometime. Maybe sometime you can show us, like give us a little tour.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna hit you up with the picture right after this. And oh, by the way, any shareholders or any visitors ever want to come and see our facilities, and they're over 21, and they're either in Cathedral City, they're in Nevada, maybe in Las Vegas. It's not as impressive a facility. Oregon, or soon to be, as we had mentioned, Ukiah, Mendocino, Sonoma wine country. We always love to give tours. We're an open book. Nothing really secret, and they're always welcome.
Great. And if a shareholder wants to get a hold of you, how do they get a hold of you?
Well, I believe it's investor relations or IR at Halo Canna, and we always respond, and I look at that as well.
That's fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Kiran, for your time today. We wish you all the best of luck on your future endeavors. We will be watching you very closely. Congratulations on the $10 million facility. I'm sure that's, amazing to have all that extra resources at your fingertips, at your disposal. I'm sure that takes a lot of pressure off. So congratulations on that.
All right. Thanks a lot, Rich. Thanks for having me.
And congratulations on everything happening in Lesotho. We'll keep you, we'll be watching you very closely. Everybody that's been watching you, thank you for watching. This is Kiran Sidhu, the CEO of Halo Labs.
Thanks, guys. Take care. Bye.
Have a great day. Cheers.